Today in the battle arena, the multiverse is confirmed. And what does that mean for Spider-Man? We have a movie shaping up to show off all the baddies from the Spider-Verse. And why not rank them all here to see who's going to give Peter the biggest threat and run for his money? So we go back to the very first original trilogy of Spider-Man and their villains. So today we have the Green Goblin versus Dr. Octavius versus Venom, an old-fashioned head-to-head to see what Spider-Man villain takes the crown and who is named truly the baddest of them all. What's up, guys? I'm Drew. This is DanCo. Thank you so much again for watching our channel. If you enjoy this video or videos you've seen in the past, please make sure to subscribe, to like, and turn on the notification bell. When you hit the notification bell, it alerts you every single time that we upload to the channel, so you're the very first person to watch. We really appreciate it, and it really helps our channel out and allows us to keep bringing you more content like this. With all the new ideas and foreshadowing that the MCU has been giving us, considering Loki, all the stuff from Scarlet Witch, and the actual MCU lineup, we know that the multiverse is confirmed. So why not go back to where it all began with the iconic villains, where it all started. Pumpkin Bombs and Dr. Ock actually being in the Spider-Man No Way Home sets up the stage for us to go down memory lane to compare our favorite villains from the very first trilogy, loved and hated Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. To get the show started, we need to talk about their strengths. The Green Goblin honestly gave us all nightmares. Willem Dafoe is a creepy guy, even outside of playing Green Goblin. His creepy body movements, along with his wild smile, give us enough nightmare fuel to stick around for almost 20 years. This movie came out in 2002. As far as Green Goblin's strength from the rodent test studies, they said that their strength increased 800%, while one test subject did show side effects of anger, violence, and madness. Green Goblin has been able to land his hits on Spider-Man, ragdolling him through walls and through buildings. We see him able to catch and stop one of Spider-Man's full-force punches with ease. He's definitely superhuman and capable of probably hurting Spider-Man however he wants. Our Spider-Man No Way From Home cameo heartthrob is Dr. Octavius.
Hello, Peter.
Just gave me chills. Dr. Otto Octavius was a revered nuclear physicist who was the first to design a machine that was able to create clean fusion with the dreams to provide free and infinite energy to the entire world. When the machine malfunctioned, Dr. Oct pushed through the warning signs and pleased to shut it off, which led to his wife Rosie dying, and the AI robotic arms used to maintain the fusion machine fused to his actual body after electrical shock. This trauma and the inhibitor chip being destroyed and his strange obsession to recreate it all led to the birth of Dr. Octavius. Dr. Octavius is fully reliant on his AI arms, thus the clever name Doc Octopus. His strength is really solely in his arms. Similar damage to Spider-Man that Green Goblin does, he throws Peter through walls, train doors, roofs, lands a few impressive hits. We see the arms actually full potential as they break through a bank vault, climb up the side of a building, kind of King Kong style with Aunt May, tear apart taxi cabs, and even picking up and throwing this car out of reflex. While Dr. Ock is really strong, his most impressive feat is his big boy brain, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Venom is maybe the scariest villain in the Spider-Man universe. Eddie Brock, filled with hatred toward Peter Parker, after Peter calls him out on a fake photo, he heads to the church to pray for Peter's death. He was then taken over by the Venom symbiote after Peter was able to escape from it, and Venom began the chaos. Venom's strength is pretty much on par with Spider-Man. We don't see any crazy feats of strength like Peter stopping a train, but if we were to scale these things based off of the damage that Spider-Man has been dealt by the other villains, Venom may be at the top of the list. Several times Venom was able to hold down and even tie down Peter. We see Venom able to blindside blitz Spider-Man as he slams him through a suspended taxi cab. He knocks Peter around mid-air and even lands several blows back to back as they free fall together. So that's all of the characters' strengths. Let's talk about their durability. Green Goblin is super strong. Like we said earlier, 800% more strong than a normal human. But how durable is he? We see Green Goblin able to smash Peter into glass and metal at full speed and take hits from Peter multiple times in a row, but we never really see him any other time that would allow us to think that he's super durable. We always see him in his armor, and that, I'm sure, gives him an extra layer of protection. That's what armor is for. But it's not really sure if it's making a huge difference there. Hey, 19-year spoiler alert. Green Goblin actually dies from his glider that pierces through his torso while he has his armor on. So we see that he is very much still human. Green Goblin and Dr. Ock have this in common. They are very normal people that have extra strength things that are added to who they are. So their durability is probably similar. While Dr. Ock is just a normal human being, in the movie, his durability seems to be a little bit higher than Green Goblin's. We actually see him electrocuted a couple of times, and that only seems to pause his rampage and fury. Here he's knocked through doors into a taxi cab, and he's able to take a hit from Aunt May, but it did stun him a little bit, so shout out to Aunt May for having a freaking strong hit. Multiple hits from Spider-Man, especially this one. Dr. Ock has a solid chin. I think he could take an edge over Green Goblin, but they both come out probably short of Venom. Let's talk about Venom's durability. Venom's able to pretty much take anything from Spider-Man. He's kicked, he's punched, he's smacked, and Venom gets right back up unfazed. Here, Harry even cuts Venom with some of his gadgets, and Venom is quickly healed and fully protected again. No other villain in today's battle has that ability. If there was zero prep time in this battle, Venom would be super difficult to beat based off of his durability alone. Without knowing that loud noises weaken him and separate him from his host, he would be nearly invincible and probably impossible to beat. Okay, now let's shift to speed. Green Goblin's speed is definitely one of his advantages. While on his glider, he's able to knock Peter out of a midair swing, pull off drive-by pumpkin explosions. Sneak attacks are definitely the way Mr. Osborn likes to fight, and ultimately becomes the way he dies in the end. Shout out to this guy on Reddit who was the one that was able to point out his shawl removal speed. Green Goblin has a very normal shawl removal speed. While this may be a hustle from Green Goblin, speed is definitely one of the biggest advantages he has. Dr. Ock is again ranking about the same as Green Goblin. With similar moments where Spider-Man's fight against Green Goblin, he knocks him out of the air and blocks blows from Spider-Man. Sneak attacks and parry sneak attacks. Dr. Ock is doing all the same things. He even catches Peter mid-air with his arms. He might have the slight edge over Green Goblin since his arms are AI and they're way faster with reflexes. Like here, he's able to tear apart flying debris before it hits him, and here he's able to block shards of glass even after the explosion happened. This is evidence that gives Dr. Ock the advantage over Green Goblin. The only differences between their speed is Green Goblin has a long distance type of speed and Dr. Ock has a close range speed that give them each their own pros and cons. Venom has pretty equal speed to Spider-Man. Again, these guys are close to being on par. Each of the villains have their certain moments, but this scene of Venom and Spider-Man free-falling and fighting shows that they're pretty much on the same page. Venom is able to evade Harry's charge sneak attack from his hoverboard here. Venom also is able to blitz Spider-Man without Peter being able to avoid it. It's kind of hard to scale because something we have to consider with speed is we have to also think about range. Like if you're fast like in this area, that's great for you when that person's in this area. But if you're fast in this area, that's going to be a better fighting skill to have. So Green Goblin and Venom have more range, thus have more speed, being a better situation for them too. Now let's talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about gadgets and actual feats between all of these villains. Green Goblin's glider speeder thing is really what makes Green Goblin the most dangerous. It takes his ground strength to the air and gives him speed to give threat at long distances at any time. Without his glider, I'm not sure if Green Goblin would pose much of a threat at all. But before we can say that fully, we have to remember his pumpkin bombs. This definitely adds a little bit more distance to his attacks, and these things are no joke. I'm guessing this scene is what made this movie PG-13. His bomb literally turned them into skeletons. R.I.P. balcony boys. I'm not sure, too, if these pumpkin bombs don't have different settings. He's able to throw one, turn them into skeletons. He throws one at Peter. It only takes off like the side of his mask and leaves a few scratches. The G-Goblin has a grappling snare hook type thing that he's able to snag Spider-Man with and pull him behind his speeder going full speed. And last but not least, the Green Goblin's finisher move is a spear turned into a trident to remind Peter the Gob is the king of gadgets and gizmos. He definitely takes maybe the upper hand here with his gadgets. Now let's talk about Dr. Ock. He is all arms. That's his main gadget. To mention his feats and to ignore his genius level brilliance, though, would be sort of a miss. Smarts go a long way. You could be the strongest person in the room, but if you don't know how to fight or protect yourself, you're not going to be a good opponent and cause much of a threat. Dr. Octavius's geniusness is what created Dr. Ock in the first place. Without his brains, he wouldn't have his arms. This would give him the advantage over others in several different ways. Today's battle's not going to be a battle that's going to allow prep time, so his brains is not going to bring him a ton of advantage beforehand, but if Dr. Octavius had a week, 2 weeks to prep for this fight, I'm sure that he'll be able to figure out Venom's weakness, he'd be able to exploit it, and not only that, he would be able to create all of Green Goblin's gadgets as well. He's that smart. Can you imagine Dr. Octavius on a Green Goblin board with pumpkin bombs? Thus is born Dr. Ock Goblin.
Hello, Peter.
Brains just open up the possibility for anything. These arms are shock-proof, fireproof, waterproof. They have a mind of their own, being AI, and they're precise. These arms and Dr. Ock's smarts are a deadly combo. Venom's feat is definitely going to be the outer space symbiote that lands on him and gives him all of his superhuman powers. It gives him super strength, regeneration, defense, aggression. Also, it just gives him the fear factor too. You would not want to fight this guy. At least I wouldn't. So now talking about all of those things, we talked about strength, we talked about durability, we talked about speed, we talked about feats and gadgets. Who comes out on top between these three classic villains from the very first Spider-Man trilogy? Green Goblin and Dr. Ock are both serious villains that take the upper hand over Peter multiple times in their movies. But there's just something about Venom that makes him a different kind of threat. Green Goblin definitely takes the advantage with the distance and the long range attacks, maybe even speed. Dr. Ock is probably the smartest and will be able to make great battle decisions. And if there's any prep time in this battle, he may slip away with the win. However, but this whole battle comes down to the fact that Venom's defense is basically perfect. Even when he is cut, Eddie is immediately healed and covered by Venom. Also, there is still a small balance of human compassion and mindset with Dr. Ock and Green Goblin. Maybe less in Green Goblin because he is actually crazy. Venom is a true villain and enraged to kill and destroy. There's definitely something about just not caring that's going to make you way more aggressive. That's going to make you way more dangerous. And I believe that's going to give Venom the upper hand of being the most villainous of villains. So today, I'm going to have to give the win to Venom. Venom wins. Hey, so what do you think? I would love to hear who you think wins this battle. To be honest, Venom is a little bit more scary when he's played by Tom Hardy. So there may be a video to come, a part 2 of the more recent villains from the Spider-Man universe. But in the meantime, make sure to sound off in the comments. Also, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, turn on the notifications, join the DanCo army, and I will see you next time. Hey, listen to this. You won't believe this. 85% of the people watching this video right now are not subscribed. It takes 2 seconds. If you're on your computer, just slide down, hit subscribe, hit the like button. If you're watching it on your TV, maybe hit the options button. That'll give you the option to subscribe. It's going to help us to get this video in front of more and more people, and it's also going to help us to make more content like this. So thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it.